The NIL, name, image, likeness. Your name, your image, your likeness. To me, that seemed like a simple change that needed to be made. You think about NCAA football on PlayStation and Xbox. People were playing that all the time. They were claiming it wasn't us. But if you go back to 1999, 2000, 2001, and you play with Minnesota, that number 3, 6'2", 210 pounds from Detroit, Michigan. He wears number 3. I mean, I don't know who that is,
Who could it be?
Like me. So if you're going to use my number, my height, my weight, where I'm from, but you just don't want to use my name. You want to use my image and my likeness, but not my name. So that way you don't have to pay me. That sounds like infringement. That sounds like copyright. That sounds like we should be in court right now dealing with lawyers saying, hey, look, that's me. You got to pay me for that. And that's why so many players got paid, but only through a certain time. I'm kind of pissed off. I missed the window of getting that check for being on the game because, hey, the old guys, we didn't really do it that well. But as it got better and better, the faces got better, the graphics got better. I mean, they really were just stealing the images of these college players. And now it's legal. You can legally pay players, Sam. And good old Nick Saban, Mr. I got the number 1 recruiting class every year for the last whatever years. I got the number 1 player in the recruiting class for the last couple of years. I put X amount of players in the NFL. Well, now the scales of justice have been balanced. And I'm a Moon Knight fan. I don't know if you've seen Moon Knight yet, Sam, or if you even care about Marvel stuff. But Moon Knight, there's this thing called the balance of the scales, and it's really fake the way they do it. But they basically grab, if you have a twin or you have your alter ego, they grab both hearts. It's fake. They put them on a scale, and you got to somehow balance the scales by going back into your past, trying to figure out why your scales are unbalanced. Well, now we've gone back into the past and we figured it out. The unbalance came from value. You look at what Nick Saban makes compared to what Deion Sanders makes. You look at Nick Saban's budget compared to Deion Sanders' budget. It's hard to compete and get those top kids. Yes, it's Deion Sanders. I want to learn from the best. I mean, this kid, number 1 recruit in the country, goes to Jackson State, a historically black college. Unheard of. You see it now in basketball. You got kids doing that in basketball as well. Why? Because I don't need Alabama. I don't need Clemson. This kid is the best player in the country. If Shaquille O'Neal were to go to Alabama A&M, they're going to follow him. It's not about LSU and Shaq. It's about Shaq. You know, and if Michael Jordan had gone to North Carolina A&T instead of going to North Carolina, they're going to follow Jordan. They're going to follow the money. It just wasn't out back then. But they were going to find that kid. And so, Sam, now Nick Saban says that Texas A&M has cheated. No, sorry, not cheated, bought their entire recruiting class. Now, it's not them, it's their boosters. They've done a great job creating NILs. And I think that's the problem for me, Sam, is that Alabama has taken over for a while. And now you're starting to see these scales balance. And then you just see the receiver out of Pitt, the kid we were talking about. He just went to USC. So Lincoln Riley has been doing the same thing. Nobody just notices Lincoln Riley because USC, nobody's worried about USC just yet. But Lincoln Riley's been slowly adding, as Kevin Garnett would say, you know, he's been adding Uzis, pumps, loading up clips. He's just over there secretly loading up his guns, getting ready for this college football season and seasons to come. And that's why they bought Lincoln Riley in. They were like, look, this guy can recruit. He's done a great job of where he's been. Let's see if he can turn this around at USC because we have the stuff in LA. I mean, it's Snoop Dogg. It's LA. We're worried about Texas A&M and this oil money. We forgot about just LA. But Sam, what are your thoughts on that with Nick Saban?
So yesterday was highly entertaining because Saban calls out A&M, which is Jimbo Fisher.
Yep.
Jimbo Fisher, I believe, calls his own press conference.
He does.
And lights Nick Saban on fire. He calls him despicable multiple times. He says he thinks he's God. He throws him under the bus and says his former assistants don't like him, and basically implies that Alabama's been the one cheating all this time.
Yes.
And this college football now? Is this where the SEC schools just have a battle of petty? Who can be pettier in trying to take down the other schools and prop themselves up? We kind of have invited this, though, right? This
Yeah.
kind of is the NIL environment where it, to some extent, it is about buying talent a little bit. You try to you promote your program, you promote the education, but for these stars, it is going to come down to, I think, that NIL deal. So I guess I don't know what Saban was. If was Saban implying that they were cheating or just that they had really good NIL deals? I'm not sure what the accusation is if it's legal. Like maybe you can tell me, Ron.
Yeah. So what Saban's problem is, and he's brought this up before because he continues to say this. He's like, where's the salary cap for these players? Like, are we just going to let the best player, like if a new Allen Iverson comes out of high school, which is coming, imagine LeBron James right now in high school heading to college because he couldn't go to the NBA. He would have to go to college for one season. I mean, look at Chet Holmgren. He's not even close to him. Paige Beckers, she's good, but she's not LeBron James, and she's heading towards $1 million. LeBron would have probably had 10 million already in college. Like he probably would have stayed in college for the simple fact of it's like, wait, I have no responsibilities. I have no bills. The school's paying for my apartment. I got a nice crib in college. I can get an education and I can make 10 mil a year in college. But no, we know LeBron he would have wanted 30, 40 million. But, just saying, like, think about that. 1 year, LeBron, Carmelo, some of these guys that we knew were one and dones. And LeBron couldn't be a one and done, but LeBron would have had to be a one and done. Oh, he would have broke the bank. And that's what Nick Saban is saying is what's the cap. And so, no, he's not saying that they cheated. He just admitted that, like, look, this is the new age. And honestly, this is the thing. This is smart on Nick Saban's part. One, he gets the attention off of himself because for years people were saying he was cheating anyway. That's why I think Jimbo Fisher is really like, really? Like, really? What you did? And now okay. And so you see that. You see Deion Sanders, him and Nick Saban are in Affleck commercials. That's going to be really awkward on set next time they shoot an Affleck. I mean, literally, Affleck might have to say, hey, let's hurry up and shoot a commercial to get this hotness out on the streets. Because if you put Saban and Sanders in a commercial, Deion's bringing the looks. Like, he's going to drop the jokes. He's going to bring the looks. I hope SNL does an Affleck thing where, like, they have the duck out there and the duck even looks like, wait, what? Like, I don't want to be in this commercial. Like it's
The duck
some
runs
of the
away.
the duck. It's some of the best stuff it's going to be. I mean, I think I'm pretty sure SNL would do it, but who knows? They might not. That might be a conflict.
Season finale on Saturday. They better hurry.
Well, hey, and it came right at the right time. I'm hoping they have a Nick Saban joke. I mean, come on now, you got to do that, but you never know. But when you think about what Saban's saying, his big issue is this. Players now, it's about the boosters, and it's about recruiting with boosters. And that technically was illegal, but it's not. So what Saban's doing is smart. He put his boosters on notice. He's like, look, I'm fighting for my life to recruit for y'all. Y'all got to come help me. Now, if I were Saban, I'd be, look, take $2 million from me. I'm gonna get a lesser salary. You guys go use that to get some players for me. Nick Nolte style blue chips. That's why I tweeted that. Loved it. But there's a thing too about NIL, and having Ron Dane on got me thinking about that. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa. We haven't seen any Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa NIL blowups yet. We haven't seen any big time deals just yet. And so my early voice out to the fans, to the listeners, to the Gopher fans, to the Minnesota sports fans. If you know some people out there with some big time money and they are in the Minnesota area, they need to create a conglomerate and start working on getting these high school kids like signed deals. Hey, when you come to Minnesota, we're going to have a General Mills cereal commercial ready to go for you. We're going to, you're going to be sponsored by whatever, Fruit Loops, Frosted Flake. I don't know what they make over there. But I mean, Land O'Lakes, you're going to have your own butter. You're going to be sponsored. We just need you to say, hey, my hands aren't slippery unless I put butter on my biscuit. So, I mean, it's got to be something for these high school players, knowing that when I get to Minnesota, Target, have a quarterback throwing it at the Target sign. I never miss, especially when I shop at Target. I mean, come on. There's too much out there for these high school players that we really want to come play for Minnesota that we can't find a way to get them 10, 20, 30 grand a month. for their first year. 10 grand a month, I think would do it. 100 grand in the first year, 120 grand. High school kid. Who's going to say no to that? I mean, I just did a commercial and I know what they pay. So that's what I think's got to happen. Minnesota's got to, it's an arms race now of NIL. Minnesota's got to get out in front of all these schools like Wisconsin and Iowa, because that's who they're competing against. Of course, we got Michigan, Ohio State. That's going to be a different brand. But you gotta out recruit your little group here of Wisconsin and Iowa, because that's who you see Minnesota fighting for with these offensive linemen and some of these linebackers in these areas. It's depending on what you can get. Jackson Howard, kid in Minnesota now. I don't see why. If you really want him, he's the number one recruit in Minnesota. Find a company that's willing to sponsor him if he signs with Minnesota. That's got to be the way to go. That's how you defeat the Wisconsins, the Iowas, and they're not even up for Jackson Howard. It's against Michigan, Miami, Minnesota, and LSU. Those are the four. So you got to compete with LSU, because LSU is in the SEC, and they got to compete with Alabama. So Gopher fans, get your NILs together.